Having achieved great success in his career, Subin returns to his hometown, determined to reconcile with his teenage sweetheart I-Chai. Yet unresolved wounds from the past stand between them, and I-Chai turns him down coldly every single time. Even after years apart, I-Chai still holds dear the tender days they spent together back in their senior year of high school. Back then, she was obsessed with filming and funded a zombie short film entirely on her own. Subin volunteered to join her crew to help out. Filming filled I-Chai with burning passion, her eyes glowing with longing for a career in cinema, and that radiance drew Subin to her dream as well. The pair were reprimanded by their teacher for neglecting their studies to shoot footage, yet they laughed easily side by side as they served their punishment, and Subin even learned local dialect from her. Late one night, I-Chai snuck Subin back to her place to review the finished short film together, praising the shots he had captured behind the camera. After watching the movie, a resolve took root deep in Subin's heart. He vowed to chase the same dream of becoming a director as I-Chai. I-Chai warned Subin that the path of a filmmaker would be brutally tough, but he remained unwavering. It was I-Chai who had helped him finally find a dream worth chasing, and from that moment onward, he wanted to step into the warm world of cinema just like her. Secretly, I-Chai thought Subin would never realize that it was actually him who had led her into this bright, joyful world. To her, the most beautiful subject captured through her lens had always been Subin. Soon afterward, I-Chai won an award at the local youth film festival. Subin rushed over in a hurry to present her with a bouquet of flowers, congratulating her on taking the first step toward her dream. On the day of the award ceremony, I-Chai invited Subin to co-write scripts and make films with her, and he agreed without hesitation. He could not imagine how joyful it would be to pursue their dreams side by side with her, but reality quietly began to crush their youthful aspirations. Subin's father, a doctor, pressed heavy pressure on him, warning that imperfection would never be tolerated in their family. Subin had to live up to the family's long-held expectations. Meanwhile, I-Chai's mother planned to sell all her daughter's movie videotapes, dismissing them as worthless junk. That night, I-Chai broke down crying in front of her mother. She did not ask her mother to support her filmmaking dream. All she begged was that her mother would not destroy the precious passion she held close. That evening, both heartbroken I-Chai and dejected Subin wandered down to the riverside by coincidence. There, I-Chai told him the fable of the fox who called the grapes sour simply because he could not reach them. To I-Chai, even if the grapes hanging high on the vine really were tart, it did not matter. At least she had gotten to taste them for herself. That was her attitude toward dreams. Even if bitterness awaited at the end of the road, she would still give it her all. Subin spoke softly, promising that if I-Chai wanted to pluck the grapes of her dreams, he would willingly act as her ladder. She could step on his back and climb as high as she needed. One day, after watching a short film directed by Subin together, I-Chai had a sudden idea. The two of them would write, direct and star in their own romance film, complete with scenes of young love and a kiss. She pursed her lips and gestured for Subin to kiss her, but he froze and held back, promising he would take the initiative once they both got accepted into university film departments. I-Chai grumbled, wondering how he could possibly wait that long. In the days that followed, they brainstormed their upcoming scripts together. Though small disagreements flared up now and then, those sweet memories were too wonderful to ever forget. Now, a decade has passed. Having lost sight of her old dream, I-Chai scrapes by as a reporter. One day, she is filming a grape-picking variety show when Subin suddenly walks over holding a bouquet of flowers. Only then does I-Chai learn that he is the special guest invited to the program. Before the interview, I-Chai pressed Subin to explain why he had shown up uninvited. Subin said nothing in reply. Instead, he saw right through her inner unease. Ever since they were young, I-Chai had the habit of biting her lip whenever she grew nervous. Not backing down, I-Chai warned him she would not hold back if he acted out of line on the show. Later during filming, I-Chai forced a bright smile and put on an act of warm, easy banter with Subin. Yet the instant the director called cut, her cheerful expression vanished in the blink of an eye. On camera, Subin brought up his upcoming project Love Song of the Capital. At the title, I-Chai's eyes flew wide. It was the script the two of them had co-written 10 years prior. In the next shooting segment, Subin referenced the fable of the fox who called the grapes sour out of reach, hinting that I-Chai was just like that fox, deluding herself. I-Chai raised her voice sharply. That fox had hurt itself trying to reach the grapes, only for the ladder beneath its feet to be kicked away. Wasn't giving up on the grapes only natural after all that? But Subin countered that if she wished to reach them, she could always climb using a friend's back as a ladder. Stubborn as ever, I-Chai retorted that the friend might snatch all the grapes for themselves, leaving the fox wounded with nothing to show for its pain. Subin was about to respond when I-Chai suddenly grabbed the collar of his shirt, reminding him every staff member on set could hear their private conversation. Her rough tug popped a button clean off his blouse, forcing I-Chai to sew it back on for him. As she sat inches away, a familiar soft glow flickered in Subin's eyes. I-Chai cut through the tender atmosphere with cold realism. She was willing to sell him the script Love Song of the Capital for 30 million won. Subin, however, insisted they film it side by side. To him, the movie meant nothing without her involvement, and he had no intention of cutting ties with her entirely. As he spoke, he closed the distance between them with an intimate, smoldering posture. He swore he would give back the dream he had seemingly stolen from her and return her first love along with it. He leaned down toward her, tilting his head as if to kiss her. Right before his lips could touch hers, Aichai grabbed the bouquet and struck him hard with it. She would never forget how cruelly Subin had treated her 10 years ago, during their senior year exam week. Subin had skipped school for days on end. Aichai waited outside his house for multiple days, yet he never opened the door. Finally, on a rainy day, he ran after her with an umbrella as she wandered dejectedly through the downpour. Aichai threw her arms tightly around him, relieved he was unharmed. To her devastation, Subin delivered terrible news. He would skip the school examinations and travel to the United States to study medicine, following the life his family had mapped out for him. Sobbing, Aichai beat against his chest, reminding him of their promise to chase their filmmaking dreams together. Once her tears subsided, she handed him their unfinished draft of Love Song of the Capital, leaving the choice of their future entirely up to him. That night, Aichai had already boarded the coach back to her hometown, yet she could not bear to leave without settling things with Subin and got off the bus before departure. On the road, she bent to retrieve her fallen hair tie and was hit by a car. She slipped into a coma that dragged on for an extremely long time. When she woke, she received the crushing news of her father's passing. Overwhelmed by grief, she poured all her energy into physical rehabilitation, abandoning all thoughts of her cinematic dream from that moment on. 10 years had slipped by. Staring at her reflection and replaying Subin's words from that day in her mind, Aichai broke down into quiet weeping. Her friend Sujian urged her to accept Subin's offer. Life was fleeting, she had already let their chance slip away once. Did she intend to lose it a second time? Did she not mourn all those days they had poured every ounce of effort into their shared dream? No matter how her friend pleaded, Aichai clung to her hollow, prideful excuses. Thanks to Subin's appearance, the episode became a massive hit. The producer told Aichai to invite Subin back for the second installment of the show, promising her an independent program slot if she succeeded. Left with no other choice, Aichai headed back to her hometown to meet Subin once more. No one could predict whether this reunion would allow them to return to the bond they once shared.